there is only one, truth. And the truth of the matter is that, Caitlin Clark is this phenomenon that changed the entire landscape, sort of the sun that the WNBA has now orbited around as a solar system. So I don't know how anybody can ignore that fact, which we'll put a pin in that for a second, because I did want to get to the one other theme that I mentioned, because that I think it's important for people to hear your background and context for people who don't know, and that's on the women's sports side of things. But then there's another aspect that you touch on in the book, and that I think has not been discussed as much as to the explosion of Caitlin Clark's popularity, and that's dudes. Caitlin Clark, everybody goes like white and straight and all these other carnival barker talking points, but I've always thought her popularity, and with anything, there's a pie chart, right? There may be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but has been rooted in basketball. And I think the way she plays and the way she's entertained brought so many guys over, whether they were men's college basketball fans or NBA fans or whatever the case, which is something that the WNBA and a lot of women's sports hadn't done before. And I think that's an under-discussed aspect of why Caitlin Clark is so popular.
Without a doubt, Robin, without a doubt. And I have, of course, discussed it, and I'm happy to talk about it in the book. But you know what? In the last 3 weeks, as I've been touring the country, a lot of the Midwest, but also the East, and people have just been, again, I'm so gratified. I want to say thanks to people. My goodness, people have waited in line for a couple hours in Iowa and in DC right here, Iowa City, everywhere. The lines are extraordinary. Chicago, Winnetka the other day near Northwestern, literally 2-3 hours in line, and people wait, and I'm so gratified. With those people that when they are in line, one of the reasons the line might take a little longer is I talk to people. I look them in the eye and I want to have a chat for a couple seconds, whether it's girls or boys, moms or dads, grandparents, whoever it might be, just fans forever that want to stand in line and tell me a little bit about themselves. I want to hear that. These people are supporting me. I want to hear about them. And you wouldn't believe, actually you would believe, but anyone, hopefully most people would understand this, as you've just described, the number of men who have waited in line, who come up to the table, they have their book or books, and I'm going to sign them. And of course, I often meet them and they say who they are. Obviously, I'm going to inscribe them and personalize the books, right? And it's probably close to 3 figures, probably close to 100 people, at least, men. I never watched, these are the quotes, I never watched women's basketball before. I really didn't even care about women's sports before. And these men might be 40, they might be 50, 60. I mean, a couple are younger, in their 30s maybe. But in general, it's like either father age or grandfather age kind of guys, middle-aged guys maybe. And I never cared, never watched. It wasn't that I didn't, I wanted my daughter to play sports. I wanted, I waved at the girl next door as she's headed out with her volleyball gear over, in her bag over her shoulder, soccer gear, whatever. But I never cared. And there's so much going on, and I watch men's sports, and I love the NFL, I love Major League, whatever, baseball, that's it. And it's probably 100 now, men telling me that in line. And I smile, and I said, that's it. That's it. When you've got the average Joe, to the point you're making, which is the point I made, right? Maybe we both, we agree on this, which I think anyone to deny this is just not looking at the numbers. If you've got the average Joe who never cared about women's sports or women's basketball, now planning their evening around Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever games, or right now, because Caitlin is injured, doing something else. They're just not watching. That doesn't make them bad people, folks. It doesn't make them hateful. It doesn't make them misogynists. It doesn't. I don't really understand it's fine. Again, bring it on. Come after me on any subject, anytime. I love it. It's great. It's what makes, it's journalism. But why would you not be happy to have those people watching your sport? We've seen the numbers of the All-Star voting, right? Asia Wilson, well under 100,000 2 years ago. Now Caitlin Clark is getting all the votes, of course, and she's getting them with, Leah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and others. Obviously, the Indiana Fever getting a lot of votes, Caitlin leading the way. Well, Aisha Wilson is now close to, a million votes. The rising tide lifts all boats. How can you hate that? How can people be upset by that? They are. Okay. But this is the moment, and this is the person.